When you look at these business owners, you have that idea. If you're going to go with it, you have to go with it 100%, and you have to believe in yourself. And this is what I always tell my members. I can bring you together. You have to close the deal. I make introductions, I can talk, and I walk away. It's up to you guys to take the next step. So that's truly who we are, is making those connections, networking, and just promoting as much as we can about our communities.
We are looking forward our way. We're in Studio C in the 511 Studios, located in the Brewery District, just south of downtown Columbus, Ohio. This is Brett. With me, as always, is Carol. What do we got in store for this episode?
Hi, Brad. We are continuing our look at small business ownership today, but we got a little bit different twist. Let's talk about the value of our local chambers, how these organizations can create not only successful entrepreneurs, but also lend to successful communities with a thriving economy.
Yeah, we're really happy to have David Polakowski. He is the president and CEO of the Tri-Village Chamber Partnership. Thanks for joining us. And I know this is not the first time we've met.
No, it's not. We have a habit of meeting at least once or twice a month.
Correct. Yeah. Full disclosure, I work with him on the Tri-Village Chamber Partnerships podcast, Business Inspires.
And so for the first time, I'm outnumbered. Usually, David, it's me bringing in my friends and classmates and former colleagues and alumni from my schools, and I outnumber Brett.
Yes, exactly.
Not today.
Yeah. Well, Dave's been a business owner. He worked for government, including economic development and nonprofit experience. So we want to start out by sharing with our listeners your background, how you came to be president of the chamber, and the timing of that president of the chamber is interesting as well.
Oh, what a story.
Yeah.
So, thank you.
Yeah.
I mean, it's great to be here. I've been doing nonprofit for almost 30 years, and it's my true love. I spend part of that time in public health, and I grew up in the Cleveland burbs, went to Cleveland State, and actually I'm probably one of the few people still working in his area of degree with my urban affairs degree. So, it's a lot of fun. I love a challenge.
You've had it.
Am I smiling?
You're smiling. You're smiling.
Yeah.
You're smiling.
Yeah. No, it's, the nonprofit world is always evolving and changing. So,
Very much.
Anything you do, you always have to look at how to keep changing and evolving so that people stay interested and want to come back. I started interesting enough. Well, and to me, it's interesting enough. But I started my career in the Mount Vernon, Knox County Chamber of Commerce and the Area Development Foundation there in Knox County in economic development. And here I am, hopefully they'll keep me for a while, towards the end of my career back in the chamber. And starting in the chamber and as it was today, I think it's two different worlds. You're looking at back in the 90s when I started, which is kind of weird to say 30 years. 1990s is 30 years ago.
I know, that's, yeah.
So when I started, it was shirt, tie, shirt, tie affairs. And I think that's when the professional casual started coming out. Mm-hmm. As soon as they said you don't have to wear a tie, I ripped that thing off. Yeah. And it's been... I don't think I've worn one unless I absolutely have to, so I don't.
Well, the whole premise of business has changed so much in the last 30 years. Thank goodness the chambers are moving along with it.
Yes. And, it's more of community and investment. We're still a membership organization, so we, if somebody calls looking for a retail, a restaurant, I refer them to our website. We don't do a membership directory anymore because once you print that, it's outdated. Mm-hmm. And I think in the past, they were doing it for every 2 years. So it really got dated quickly.
And they're hard to put together.
Yeah.
Yes. It's not easy.
No, it's not. And I'm glad I don't have to do that because, once they become a member, they're automatically put right on the website and it just makes life easier. So I do a lot of referral to our website when people are looking. But, the evolution in my career and looking at the nonprofit world, it has changed so much. And, I've been in true mission organizations. I've worked for the March of Dimes. I've, started a nonprofit with the Licking County Health Department when I was working there. I worked for tobacco prevention. So I've had a little bit of this, that, and everywhere. And here I am back in the chamber world.
Mm-hmm.
What I love about being so specific that we are saying this chamber is a nonprofit is that most folks don't think of a chamber of commerce as being a nonprofit. They think it's because it represents business, it's a business.
And it's interesting because, as a chamber, we're a C6, so we're not tax exempt. A true nonprofit is a C3. So, the tax status as a membership organization is a C6. So we still pay taxes and everything that we have to do as an organization. But, we're still considered a nonprofit. Our focus is our members. We've been doing a lot of rebranding. And as Brett said, I started at an interesting time, January of 2020.
There you go. That's interesting. Since I left my position in January of 2020, the guardian angels were on my shoulders, not yours.
Right.
So.
You know what? It was challenge. We zigged and zagged, and when everything got shut down, we went online, did our programming online. We did our board meetings. We still do Zoom. But it was either adjust or fail. And, as much of somewhat of a struggle it was, we ended up coming out of 2020 very strong, and it looks like we're going to go into 2022 very strong. So,
wonderful.
Yeah, so previously, before this, I was running a Main Street program. It's called the Downtown Painesville Organization in Painesville, Ohio. So it's a best practice program. And that was a true 501c3. And it was about community, bringing people into the downtown and activities and promoting businesses. And I still do a lot of what I did and learned through the practice that today.
Right. I mean, that what you were doing in Painesville was supporting the local businesses, and that's what you're doing at Tri-Village. So
correct. And, we're previously in Painesville, it was event driven, which I was probably doing 50, 60 events a year, fundraising events. So it was a constant, development, rebranding every year and making sure, you hold the interest and people want to keep coming back.
Wonderful. So let's define Tri-Village. Those outside of Central Ohio have probably not, that's not clicking with them. Even some of those in Central Ohio, it may not be clicking with them. You basically represent the village of Marble Cliff, the city of Grandview Heights, and the city of Upper Arlington. Those are all suburbs of Columbus, sort of west-northwest area. It's a pretty good size. You're looking at 40,000 or so residents and 1,000 or two businesses. We don't have that number right at the top of our head, but lots, hundreds and hundreds. But those three communities are very dynamic. They have great school systems, progressive libraries, very active governments. But 5 years ago, the two chambers representing those three areas decided to come together. And you have, about 400 members in Tri-Village. But what is going on, and how does this combined effort of the three areas, the two old chambers, how is that leading to economic progress?
It's funny because we have four committees: programming and events, marketing, membership, and economic development. And we have each of our ex officios and partners in our community. We have each a representative from each of the three municipalities and then two school districts. So we're, part of a chamber organization is economic development, and how do we help to promote and enhance the activities in our communities. And ironically, what's funny is there's not much being done that on our side, especially to promote our communities. Our communities are well known, and when people look at the research and the development, I mean, it's amazing. That's what's going on around there. Grandview, and I can never remember the name, along Goodale or on Route 33. They have that new development going with the city, which is mixed use residential apartments. And every time I drive by there, I'm like, wait, there's a new building.
Well, I drove by today. It's like, a stoplight now.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that's going to be fun.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, going downtown on 33, and it's like, that's going to be kind of nasty. But I see where it's needed, though. You've got to have the entry points and exit points to that large development on 33 there. You have to.
And it's funny because, we were talking earlier, just identifying what actually is in our limits. We flow over. I always say our 3 communities and beyond. So if there is somebody outside of the Tri-Village area that's really interested in learning more about who we are and want to become a member, I will sit down and talk with them and try to encourage them to join. And we have several members that are members of other chambers throughout Central Ohio as well, too. So,
the interesting thing about those 3 communities, having grown up in Columbus, they were thought of as landlocked.
They are. They still are.
And yet the building is constant. I mean, Upper Arlington went through a whole change up along Tremont Northwest Boulevard, and they're going to be building a huge new community center at the site of an old retail store, one of the big box stores that closed probably 2 decades ago. Their Grandview was looked at as being landlocked, and then suddenly Grandview Yard just popped up out of thin air. I mean, it's amazing the growth that is happening in our communities, even when it doesn't look like there's one more lot to build on.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I believe there's going to be more development going on. They're building more homes in the Grandview Yard, and there's transition in even like Upper Arlington, like you said, the community center, which was tremendously past. I think it was like 80% almost.
Right.
And I guess the city manager, Steve Shoney, always has our economic development director, Joe Henderson, say 5 votes shy of 80%. So,
okay.
So just to make sure. But yeah, there's a lot of redevelopment going on in both communities. I know the city of Grandview Heights is going to be looking at trying to create and implementing a new economic development plan and development of the community and where do they go. UA, Burlington, is just crazy. You have the Gateway, which is down West Lane, going towards Columbus. And then you have the community center going on, and which is, I think it's going to be a huge asset for our community because there's going to be a venue for entertainment and, weddings and special events. And, the senior center, I believe they're going to move their residential business. And everybody's like, how does that work? I said, it'll work because, we have these things called building codes, which some communities don't have them yet. And it really is important to have building codes because it just guides you. And you don't have this popping up, which doesn't fit into existing. So you always want to make sure there's blending.
Well, again, for those of you who are our listeners are not from Central Ohio, the 3 communities are really impacted by Ohio State University. It kind of like just butts right up to them. We were saying earlier, Upper Arlington used to be sort of the home of all the faculty from Ohio State. Is the university pushing at you all, or is it really just a good partner?
I think when you look at Ohio State, they're a good partner. I don't know if you've been down Kenny and West Lane.
Oh my gosh, yes.
There's that innovation district that they're building, and they have
that used to be the site of my old office. I did continuing ed years ago. Yeah,
and they're going to have several buildings as well as office, residential, retail, restaurants. I mean, I think it's like a 20 to 30-year plan, but it's a huge investment. Their estimate, one of the numbers was like $3 to $5 billion. And 3 of the major buildings are going up right now. So it's going to be impactful on our community because it's going to add to traffic and, increase the number of individuals living in that area. And again, is it Columbus or is it UA? Grandview or UA? So it's going to be interesting. But I think there's a lot of positive things happening, like the Gateway project right on West Lane. where Half Price Books used to be. They're doing a 5-story parking garage. Don't hold this to me. I'm trying to remember. But it's 5-story parking garage, retail on the bottom, residential and office. So it's, that's the way they have to go up because, like you said, they're landlocked.
Well, and you know what, too? Your 3 communities, Grandview, Marble Cliff, Upper Arlington, are situated within the Central Ohio area. It's a great location. You're near the freeways, but you're still really nice, small bedroom communities, real close to downtown, easy to get downtown. I mean, you're in a great location. So there are lots of things that are going right.
Yeah, and when you look at it, and even like the small businesses, this morning we did a ribbon cutting for a new member, Scioto Made, their retail and clothing and embroidery.
Really?
Oh yeah. So they got this great setup. Wes and Dana started doing this in their home, and it just has grown to the need for the embroidery. And they of course have a lot of Upper Arlington clothing and Ohio clothing. One of the best things I found, they have you're looking at it and it looks like some artwork, but it's actually a representation of 270 and all the major interstates in Columbus.
Really?
In Central Ohio. Yes. It's really cool. It is. And
Interesting.
so they have
and it's Scioto
Made.
MADE. Okay. Shout out to Scioto Made.
Yes.
Exactly. Yeah.
And
Yeah. And I guess with everything you're talking about, the developments that are big development, cranes in the sky, you see them constantly. But let's bring it back down. I guess, well, what are you seeing as challenges for business ownership today in that light? Because you could be a Scioto Made and you kind of go, how do I play in this?
Right.
What do I do? And I think it's kind of, I'm not answering it for you per se, but the chamber's there in the middle to help out, right? I mean, well, what's the chamber do with this situation?
So, when I started the position, when we look at who we are as an organization, of course, we're a membership organization. So we're driven by our members and what they need. So the biggest thing is they want to see more networking opportunities. Bringing people together to share stories. The biggest challenges, and I think it's everywhere throughout Ohio and even the country, is employment. I just stopped in at a member today to say hi, and she was saying how, Club Pilates in Grandview Yard, they just can't get employees. What do we do? So, on our website, they can submit job postings. They can submit any event that they have so that once I see it, I approve it, and it goes right onto our website. So there's opportunities there to help promote. But the biggest struggle is still the employment aspect. Who do they reach out to? And, they might hire somebody or interview. And the biggest challenge of that is getting people to come in. Yeah. They'll set an interview time, but won't show up.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and these small businesses that are growing and need those employees, really, it's a struggle.
All right.
And I know even with the corporations, larger businesses that we have members, it's a struggle too. But looking for, first and foremost, that our small businesses is really our area in which we hope to grow the community. This country was built on small businesses.
Right.
And got us to where we are.
And most small businesses don't have full HR teams like the large companies that can go out and do nothing but recruit. So it's very, very difficult.
Yeah, it's, business owner, you do everything, finances,
right.
HR, just like me. I'm the only employee at the Tri-Village Chamber, and I do 85%. I have a contract with Robles Designs, who does my marketing and communications, who is phenomenal. And I know Brett's going to be working with Yasmin to get things done. So, but no, it's just like, we have unique businesses and growing. One of the ones in Grandview, which is Lion Cubs cookies. If you have not tried the cookies there yet, they're
Lion
Cubs cookie.
Lion Cubs.
Yes.
That's an interesting name.
Yes. So the name came from the fact that one of his grandparents, grandma or his grandpa, used to call him Lion.
His grandfather.
His grandfather.
Yes.
That's right.
Yeah.
So we need to give another shout out to them.
Yeah.
Yes.
And maybe get some free samples.
Well, and he was an evolution from, making it in the kitchen to storefront.
Wow.
Yeah, he started, ironically, he started in February of 2020.
Right. It was,
in a warehouse doing deliveries.
Yep.
And it has grown. And now he opened in Grandview in April. And I believe they're open Thursday through Sunday. And I think they're doing like an exorbitant amount of cookies coming out of that one space, like 4,000 in 4 days or something, and 8,000. It just, and they're, you can't just go in, get your cookies. They, depending on how many you got, if you get them in a box, you go sit in the car. And I told him, Brad, I said, this is the worst part about your business. I come in, I get cookies, I go to take them home, and they
never make it.
oh yeah. Well, they try to give them to you fresh out of the oven.
Jeez.
So you got these cookies and you're smelling, and you just open the box and you close it, and then eventually you're going to open it and start eating. But their cookies are huge.
Mm-hmm.
They're like 4 or 5 inch diameter.
Yeah.
I mean, and they're incredible.
And you haven't brought any free samples?
I haven't done that yet. No, that's very true. Very true. So, I mean, but
We're podcasting tomorrow, Brett.
Yeah, no.
Isn't that on your way in?
Everything's on my way in. If you really want to get something, it's on your way in.
It just depends on which way you go.
That's right.
Exactly.
Yeah, as it drives my wife nuts, I say all roads lead to. It's like, yeah, right, but
exactly.
But no, exactly. I mean, I call that shipping cost, though. That you have to eat a cookie or a slice of pizza before it's taken home. It's just the shipping cost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and we did a ribbon cutting there, and I'm sitting there talking to him about, showing him our database from their side. And he's like, you got to try it. And I said, I can't. He goes, why? I said, because if I start eating a taste, I'm going to keep tasting and the whole cookie's going to be gone. But they did this pumpkin white chocolate cookie.
Oh, jeez. Don't even go there with it. That's not fair.
No. And now
I didn't expect to gain weight just listening to this conversation.
I mean, and we have just so many different small businesses.
Yeah.
That Cream and Nut is a member.
Oh,
and
fabulous. Oh,
yes.
Peanut butter and jelly sandwiches? Best in town. Best in town.
Grape jelly only, though.
I like strawberry.
I like strawberry, but only peanut butter and jelly. It's grape.
Yeah. We used to do that for board meetings.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Oh, yeah, exactly. Oh, yeah.
Oh, my gosh. Okay, so David, let's think in terms of small businesses and small business ownership. It's taking very different formats in today's economy. We've seen lots of different things happen. Sure, you can open up your shop, but as you just mentioned, somebody started in a warehouse. You can buy a franchise, sign on as an independent worker, become a consultant. Every Uber driver, every Lyft driver. When you are working for yourself, it's your small business. All of these options show potential in this new normal of ours. But overall, what skills do you see with your members that seem to be most important for their success?
It is the networking aspect. I have members that truly are learning the understanding of getting out and sharing their business with other business owners. They can share stories. They can share ideas. It's just, when you look at these business owners, you have that idea. If you're going to go with it, you have to go with it 100%, and you have to believe in yourself. And this is what I always tell my members: I can bring you together. You have to close the deal. I make introductions, I can talk, and I walk away. It's up to you guys to take the next step. So that's truly who we are, is making those connections, networking, and just promoting as much as we can about our communities and beyond.
That's a great point when you're really talking about, being sure of yourself, your product, your service, whatever it is that you're doing. And my background in helping people find jobs, it's the same thing. They're really selling themselves to the employer to be hired, and you have to go in and show the value that you have, that you're bringing to the table. The old business to business stuff has been going on for a long time, but I don't know, was that just kind of pushed more at the large corporation level than it was with small businesses?
I think it was always there. It's just, when you look at a small business, it's difficult because our events are usually during the day, and trying to get away from your businesses. When we do early morning restaurants, if they open for breakfast, and even then, if they're doing lunch and dinner, they're still there pretty much all day.
Right.
So it's truly trying to get people to focus on what their greatest need is. When I have brought businesses together, I have had small businesses come to me and say, I'm looking to do marketing, I'm looking to grow my business. And it's about conversation. What do you need? What focus do you want to go? And then I can connect you with different things and different aspects and other business owners in the community to help and focus.
All right. Well, you just mentioned marketing. How are you helping? How is the chamber helping with marketing and social media roles with businesses? What are you seeing the role of social media and marketing? Has it changed over the past couple of years? Even in the last time you were in a chamber, as it being in that, and now today, maybe that's a better comparison. How is that working for businesses? What do they need to focus on? What are you seeing working?
And it's funny because I think about this when I first started in the chamber business many years ago. I think we were just getting the World Wide Web, right? WWW,
Yeah,
and email and all that. So we didn't have, the resources that we have today. Online presence is huge, and that's, I think, one of the things we learned through 2020 is your online presence. What do you do to help market yourself online? And everybody does it differently. We have, I know, like Main Street Boutique and Fabtique, who are two female-owned retailers. They have great online presence. I see them on social media and Facebook showing off their different, the different articles of clothing and accessories that they have. So it's, you might only reach 5-10 people, but if one person comes in the old marketing world and one person will tell 10. Well, 10, those people will each tell 10. So it's growing. And it is as hard as it is. And I know what the struggle is, always being pleasant and welcoming and, being warm and fuzzy. And, sometimes I think 2020 was very hard, but it was a blessing in many ways because it made us step back and look at who we are and recognize what truly matters and how we want to do business. So, you can have your brick and mortar and you can have your online presence still. It's just, I don't think that's going to go away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it definitely made everybody take a look at themselves and people around them. And this is somewhat callous, but it did weed out a lot of businesses that's probably, we're only going to survive when things are great.
Right.
And those that made it through this, we need to support because they did the work, the hard work. Oh my gosh.
That kind of goes back to your comment about believing in yourself. It seems to me that a skill that businesses have really emphasized over the past 18 months has to be innovative and to think outside the box. Those are the ones who are still hanging around.
Right.
And I have a lot of conversations with business owners, and it's, I always say I can help, I can be a partner, but I can't do your job. And like I said, I can't close the deal for you. You have to be able to show me where we fit in as an organization and how we can promote you. We do a weekly newsletter that if somebody wants to promote an activity or an event, we put it in for 2 weeks. Like I said, we have the calendar on our website, job postings on our website. We're constantly doing social media posts on LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. So embracing who we are as an organization, and in some ways branding and rebranding our focus.
Mm-hmm.
But looking at the small businesses, I understand you may be the business owner and you're working 8, 10, 12 hours a day, but sometimes you need to take that step back and pause and interact with other people because you get great ideas. And I learned through the Main Street program, similar businesses complement each other.
Mm-hmm.
You might be similar, but you do things differently, and there's different opportunities there to grow. So just about sharing and being true and opening up.
Right. Oh, very, very true. And that is, networking is not just talking, it's listening. That's the same thing that you're saying, is that when small businesses work together, they see the mission goals of the other organizations and how they mesh together. That's when you can really, truly have some success as a group.
And, that was one of the things I learned early on. You need to take a breath and listen.
Mm-hmm.
And especially as my career went on, listen, because you want to be sure to understand what the other side is asking
Right.
or needing. I know people that will go on and make it always about them, but take a deep breath because you do have a lot to listen to and offer possibly someone else to be strong. And that's why, it's funny, we're doing the speed networking, and, my comment in our description was, did you forget how to network?
Mm-hmm.
It's a good question.
Yeah.
A lot of people,
Right. Mm-hmm. We haven't seen each other.
It's going to be 2 years that we're going through this, and with that shutdown and, separation from interaction of all the people we used to deal with, we kind of forget.
Right.
And you may have to go back to your crib notes of how you did it before, and you got to go, I don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
And
always evolve.
Yeah, and it's you probably did and didn't think about it, but you've never had the opportunity. You haven't had the opportunity recently to do something like this, to introduce yourself again at a luncheon, at a breakfast. Hit me when the first time I went out and introduced, like, how do I say what I do now?
Mm-hmm.
It didn't change a ton, but there were tweaks to it. It's like, no, I can say this now.
Mm-hmm.
I can say this now. I don't need to say that anymore. Or are you just maybe more, as you mentioned, the confidence is there too.
Yeah. Well, and that's like, I'm a touchy-feely, huggy, handshaking person. And it's like, what do? Do you hug again? Mm-hmm. If you know them well enough, do you shake? It's like I go to meet somebody and I'm like, oh, wait, do we shake hands?
I know.
What do we do? So as everything evolved, we learned more and more about what's going on and how to do business. But yeah, it's, I think in a way it's taken us a step back to look at who we are and how we do business and moving forward. And, sometimes I just feel we miss that gratitude and graciousness, gratefulness, about where we are. I sit in my office sometimes and I'm like, is this for real? I have an incredible board. I have great volunteers and partners in the community. And it's just being true to ourselves and being warm and welcoming.
So I'm going to move us to look at your crystal ball, because over the past couple of decades, businesses or our civilization has gone through major changes. We made it through 9/11. We made it through a recession. When talk about walking into craziness, I became the director of a nonprofit agency helping people find jobs in the middle of the recession back in 2009. And we made it through together, working together. Now we're trying to conquer a pandemic still, and these have all had major impact on our lives and on our businesses. What do you see for 2022? How should businesses prepare? Any particular industries that we think are really going to grow, or are there some groups out there that better take a second look because things aren't going to go well? What does that crystal ball say?
Wow. That's a loaded question.
It is.
Because, and we as an organization, we're healthy, we're strong. And moving forward, I'm planning 2022. We're introducing 2 new events. We're doing a women's business expo. And I have, if all goes well and there's no major international or U.S. tragedies, I have Erin Moriarty from 48 Hours who will be coming in for the day.
OSU grad.
OSU grad.
Yeah.
And UA grad, and went to St. Christopher's, now Trinity, in Grandview Heights.
Mm-hmm.
So I got to talk to her on the phone. It's an amazing conversation we had, and I look forward to hearing her talk, because we were going to do this superhero theme, and she's like, people might not think they have a superhero theme or superhero power, and I'm like, yeah, that's what we want to bring out of them, and so it was a great conversation. And then we're doing a Tri-Village Taste. So, I've been working about 1.5 years on both of these events, and we're moving forward, making the big announcement in next month or in January. But I think when you're looking at a business or yourself, look deep down what you're providing. It's always about quality. It's always about the ability to, again, listen and communicate well with others, what your needs are as a business. I mean, you don't know, if you're an entrepreneur, you don't know what's going to work and what might not work unless you take that chance. We have a lot of resources to help small businesses, new business owners build their business. And it just, I'm hoping the restaurants will rebound strongly. I know retailers are looking at the way they do things differently. Mm-hmm. Like, the trend is for these small boutiques that you have a different product and you have one of each size, and the person tries it on. If they like it, you order it for them and it's delivered to their house, so they don't have to carry packages. Mm-hmm. I'm like, no. I want to know what great finds I have. So it's again mindset. Let's focus on the good things, keep the negativity out of it. And, and that's, who we are as an organization, is trying to be as positive and promote our members as much as possible.
So one of the things that small business owners probably need to really keep in mind is that the networking isn't just about selling something. The networking is to get more information about what's going on around you. One of the things I say to people about a whole lot of different things is you don't know what you don't know. Mm-hmm. And you may not even know enough to ask the right question or to ask the question to the right person. So you have to keep listening and meeting others and finding out what they're doing to get a bigger picture of what's going on around you. So we don't necessarily have to look at, this industry is going to go down the tubes. Everybody thought restaurants were going to go down the tubes at the beginning of the pandemic, and they were phenomenal about pivoting and making things work. So there's always possibility. So I guess that changes my question. We shouldn't look at who we think is going to be in trouble, but we should look at how can we make sure people have the information they need.
Yeah, and that's, the big important thing is business plan. If you're starting a business plan. A bank's going to want to see a business plan. Anybody, resources out there really want to see a plan. And that's one of the things. We have other resources. We have connection with SCORE, which is professionals working through SCORE to help small businesses grow and help start new businesses. Just the different resources and marketing, with Brett here and his company, we're doing a lot of things to recruit members. And I think just the resources and the ideas. I mean, my committee meetings, we're an hour. We have an agenda and we set it, and we have great conversations and we accomplish things. And that's the I think the biggest part where we're seeing some growth is I'm not going to waste time. Let's get in, get done what we have to do. Let's do our events to promote our members, bring our members together, and let them share information and, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Why not? I mean,
And so our listeners who could be a small business person anywhere in the country, anywhere in the world, take this as a lesson that if you're having difficulty networking, contact your local chamber and volunteer.
yeah, look at membership organizations. I mean, and volunteer in the nonprofit world, because it truly is. You never know who you're going to meet,
Right.
and who you connect with.
It's huge.
Yes.
Huge.
Yeah. I want to go back a little bit, and I should have asked this earlier as a follow-up question to the employment itch that we have, that we just can't seem to scratch and get rid of it. What resources and events and such is the chamber has put together to spotlight at least the state of, and helping with resources that businesses know that they can call David up and say, I got this. Where can I go? Kind of stuff. What has the chamber put together and is putting together to help at least spotlight, you're not in it alone. This is what's going on. Here are resources. What's going on with the chamber in that regard?
So looking at the networking events and making sure that we have that connection, might be beating a dead horse, but it is about networking.
Well, the networking piece too. Just because you interviewed someone as a business and didn't fit you, it could fit someone else. And that's doing a good deed forward.
Right.
Yeah.
It really is, if you think about it. Just because that person can fit you, maybe it's going to fit somebody else, and they're going to do you a favor back.
Well, and somebody that's attending our speed networking said, I know a lot of these people. She's like, what? I said, no, it's just a conversation. You'll find something new about these people. Don't worry.
And don't assume you do know anybody completely.
True.
Yes,
True.
isn't that the truth? We all find that out. But twice a year we do an economic development download. This month, actually, it feels like so long ago, we had Steve Stivers, who's the president of Ohio Chamber, who did an incredible job talking about, the vision and future. And, the Ohio Chamber does a lot of advocacy and promoting the state along with the state of Ohio. So, providing platforms to educate. We do our luncheons. We have a speaker. In January, I forgot it. Oh, now I'll remember to tell them, but our 3 communities will be doing a review of 2021. In March, I have one of the co-founders of Cohatch speaking. So it's listening, and whether you're an executive or you're entry level, we want to make sure that everybody feels welcome and that you take away at least one good aspect.
Right. And what I want to ask too is, so I'm a business owner, and I do want to do business with people in the Tri-Village area, but my business is not located there. And you have other chambers that you could be a member of and such. What would be some advice that you would give a business owner in regards to how to interview a chamber to become a member? What should they be looking for, do you think, that they're going to get the best benefits from being a chamber? Because, you could live on one side of the city and be a chamber member on the other side, because most of your business is done on the other side. It could be, or you live opposite, those sorts of things, but not all chambers are not built equally.
And there are a ton of them. We have, I don't know what, I think we counted at one point in time, it was like 120 chambers in Central Ohio or some. I mean, you can't afford to belong to all of them.
Right.
I believe Steve Stivers said Ohio has the most number of chambers in the country, and it's at like 278 or something like that.
In the whole state.
In the whole state.
Okay.
So, it's a matter, and I think you hit it when you said, I do business here. If you do businesses in the community and you're trying to look at, how do I grow and get my name out in that community more, then that's a great idea. Each chamber is different. We all have different levels of membership. So, I'm not going to say ours is better than the other, but I believe strongly in who we are and my board and the volunteers that we've brought in to help build and keep us moving through these times. But I just think it depends on what's a fit for you. Call your chamber, talk to them, whether it's the president, CEO, or if it's a membership director, talk to them, ask them questions, and I'm not going to, if somebody ever asked me, why would I join yours over another? And I said, I can't answer that because I'm not truly understanding what, your business is. Say Hilliard. Hilliard's a great partner of mine. Their president and CEO and I are friends, and we talk quite often. And, we want to try and do things together. So, I know Hilliard, Dublin, Worthington, and Westerville does a business fair. Okay, great. So, where do you think you fit in? What would give you the most advantage?
Right.
And it is, we have members that are just members for the insurance. We have several benefits. One of the benefits is the health insurance plan. So it's through Southern Ohio Chamber Alliance, which is SACA, organization we belong to, and they, it's Blue Cross Blue Shield, so Anthem. So it's, it's a great opportunity. And, it's just, what are your business needs? What do you see important to you in that community?
Right.
Well, we have to give a shout out to Mr. Stivers in the Ohio Chamber. We interviewed him for a special program for veterans programs. He is retired with the National Guard, and so, but it gave us a lot of information about what the Ohio Chamber was doing. The other group too, and I guess this is a reminder to our listeners that make sure you check our website, because with this podcast will be resources to help you as a small business owner. Is the Ohio Small Business Development Centers, which provide incredible information, all free. If you need a marketing plan, if you need a business plan, if you need an accountant, if you need to learn how to look at accounting sheets, anything, they are willing to help you do that. And there are small businesses all over the state by region.
Yeah, and it's also the SBA has great resources.
Right.
They offer classes. I think our SBA, and I'm pretty sure, is out of Columbus State.
Yes.
But there's so many different resources to help you even put a business plan together. SCORE is an excellent organization. We have a great partnership with them and provide platforms just to, what do you need? And that's what really is important, is what do you need as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, as a future business owner? What is your goal? What is your focus? But look at how to write a business plan.
All right.
David, one of the major changes over the past year, it was incredibly quick, and we had to do a lot of pivoting, a lot of changes, but technology just was overwhelming during the pandemic. We all learned Zoom or Teams or whatever it was that our office ended up using. Restaurants had to change their products, their services, their delivery modes. Other employers had to deal with online ordering, delivery. They may never have, they didn't have the capability of doing it, let alone have it on their website. Others still had to figure out how to market their business and stay relevant so they could live, get through the pandemic. Was there anything that the chamber was able to provide in teaching or introducing best practices in technology?
And when you say Zoom, I start twitching because I think
we are in person today.
Yes. But when you look at technology, I think we're still going to have that platform of
and Zoom's
Zoom,
not going anywhere.
Zoom or something, and I could be wrong. I don't know. I don't have that in my crystal ball. But when looking at the best practices, we just when I was contacted by businesses and we did some online Zoom meetings, just members and talking and chatting, and it's just truly, each industry is different, each sector is different. What works for one might not work for the other. You have to know your business and know what your needs are. So that's what we try to encourage. And even now, I reach out to members and new members. I'm like, if you ever need anything, let's sit down and chat. Let's just talk about where you're going and what your focus is. Or you just want to get to know me, let's talk. But I think we just kept the aspect of your online presence needs to be there during this time.
Right.
And now, who knows where it's going to go. Like when you look at, from what I understand, I think Chase isn't coming back downtown. They're keeping their, I'm not sure what's going to happen with that building. So the way we do business is so different. A lot of people want to stay home. I can't stay home.
My crystal ball says this. I think you're going to hear these questions from business owners that my business isn't growing, I need help. And your answer is going to be, when's the last time that you went face-to-face? Do you do 100% Zoom?
Mm-hmm.
Are you home all the time? And that's going to be an epiphany, a moment of, oh, yeah, I've got to change. I got to stop doing Zoom all the time. I do have to go out and get a cup of coffee every once in a while with a client.
So
I really think that's it's going to be a turning point, that just that dawn of, okay, I'm relying on this too much.
The communication through Zoom or whatever your choice of online presence is.
I was going to say choice of poison.
Choice of poison, yeah. It's important, but I think what you lose is that you have that face-to-face. It's like a phone call to me still.
Mm-hmm.
You lose some of that informality and getting to know and conversation. You can have conversation, but this in person is so different.
Yep.
And more warming.
I think too, and I'm going to go back to resources again. For every employer we have who we're sort of pushing out the door and trying to get them to meet with people, we likely may have employers who, even though they sputtered through the pandemic, really don't know how to use technology well. And again, there are resources out there for them to learn. So I was just talking to a neighbor yesterday about who was interested in doing some online learning. I'm like, have you ever heard of LinkedIn Learning? It used to be called lynda.com.
Mm-hmm.
LinkedIn Learning is very expensive, but it teaches you everything. Well, one wonderful resource that Central Ohioans have is go and get your Columbus Library card, and you can do LinkedIn Learning for free. And it's huge.
And that's what's interesting. I found that, libraries are another industry.
Oh.
They're not what used to.
Right.
Remember the old
card catalog? Yep.
The index cards.
I worked in libraries. Yeah.
Yeah, and if you got something out of place and they caught you, you're in trouble.
Oh yeah.
But today, before I came here, we had a luncheon. Beth Hatch, who is the director of the UA Library, was talking about the economic impact of libraries in our community.
Mm-hmm.
And they're huge.
Oh, absolutely.
You still have people that like to use them for books and resources, but there are a lot of resources that are untapped, like business development that we were talking about.
Yes.
The A to Z database. You go in and you can divide up by sector, by zip code. I have not learned this yet, but I'm going to be doing this. But looking at the sectors in your industry and how to help target your business to these sectors. So
right.
There's
the downtown Columbus Library has a huge business area, and the online learning is powerful. But if you really need to talk to somebody, those librarians can help you.
And you can also download things.
Yes. Yes.
So the libraries, SCORE, SBA, SBDC. There's a lot of online platforms. SBA has a lot of classes, like you were saying, that they offer. But write it. Know what you want to do. You have your story. Have your top 10 points. This is my business. This is what I want to do. This is how, where I want to be. How do I get there?
And it's really, a business plan is like a resume.
Mm-hmm.
A resume helps you get that job. A business plan is going to help you get the resources and funding you need to start your business.
Yeah, and business plans don't have to be 100 pages long.
No.
No. I'm one, keep it short and sweet.
Right.
Get rid of the fluff.
Right.
Get the fluff out of it.
Well, and yeah, exactly. And for the most part, we've kind of put stuff on hold in survival mode.
Mm-hmm.
Now is the time to go, okay, what's the next 10 years look like? In what, if we want to call it the new normal. Okay, so if we are going to exist the way we are today,
right?
What do you want to do? How do you want to make it work? Yeah, figure that out.
You have to not become stale, if that makes sense. You have to keep reinventing, and I've talked about this, and I'll continue to talk about it. Where do you want to be? how do you want to get there? But you have to redevelop, continuously grow, and think outside the box.
All right. Yeah. So as we end, not that this episode was not full of great wisdom, things to think about.
That's the first time I heard that. Usually, when he sits and records our podcast from the chamber, he's laughing quietly, and we have a lot of fun.
And you want it to be that way, so I figured I better be a good audience. Exactly. Any words of wisdom that you want to leave? Like I said, this has been a great episode. Lots of great things to think about as any size business owner, from entrepreneur to small business to a large business. Doesn't matter. Business is business. But any parting words that you'd like to give our listeners about, if nothing else, about again, I don't want to answer your question, but I wanted you here because I truly believe what the Tri-Village Chamber Partnership's done. I mean, I've been working with them with the podcast Business Inspires. I forget how long now. It's been years, and I love this chamber. I truly believe in smaller chambers. I really do. And I can't emphasize enough, don't overlook your local chamber.
No, I mean, one of the best compliments I had is that I'm warm and welcoming. And that just, makes me feel great that I'm doing my job, because I don't want to try and shut, am I perfect? No. But looking at it, take a deep breath, sit back and focus. Write down what you want, where you want to head. And sometimes maybe you'll find out you need to make changes, and sometimes, you just need to tweak a few things. Mm-hmm. And it's just, don't overthink. Don't overthink.
Yeah.
Don't overthink anything. And I used to be that way. But it's again, listening, sharing, and networking. And, whether it's someone you don't know or someone very close to you, just conversations are great.
Yeah, because I think chamber allows you to also feel the comfort that you are not alone. There are resources at your fingertips, a phone call away, that being a part of any chamber you have access to. You can ask, as well as you will become a resource, which is pretty invaluable if you think about it. That that's that self-confidence that your business is a resource. That's pretty big if you think about that.
Yeah.
It really is.
Do you? I mean, that's the big thing. Do you? Some people might like you, some people might not. You can't please everybody, but do what's best for you and really move forward and embrace what you want to do.
Right.
Wonderful. David, thank you so much. This has been great fun. It's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Thanks so much for coming here and talking to us. I hope we'll have you back.
Sure.
You'll be willing to come back and see us. We want to talk about
the couple of events next year.
Yes.
Oh,
We
yes.
want to talk.
Yes.
We're going a little bit more in depth as we get closer.
Because our Be Your Best Self programming has been incredible. It's our women's programming, and it's
I'd like to hear more about it.
Yes,
Right.
definitely.
Right.
Yeah.
So, listeners, thank you for being with us also today. And you'll find this podcast as well as information and resources that we discussed during today's podcast on our website at lookingforwardourway.com. And good luck in pursuing your own entrepreneurial dream.